everyone, this is Rosa Kelly. So welcome back to part 3 of my easy interactive mini album tutorial for JS Hobbies and Crafts. Today we're going to be working on decorating our album. So as you recall, on part 1 and 2 we work on the binding and on the page designs. We are yet to do the page designs for the inside covers, but I wanted to get a little inspiration using this beautiful paper and start working on my cover. So for that I'm going to be, let me put this aside, I'm going to be using this frame a card Leafy Borders, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait to try it. So I'm going to be using the border, and I think I'm also going to be using the corner. And I'm going to be using the Lilac umbrella spray, stamp and die set to create some, different shabby elements into our book. So I was looking at the paper and every page is so absolutely gorgeous, but I think that for my cover I want to go with a green base. So I'm gonna be using this page right here, and what is this one called? I don't think their name but anyway, so I really love this corner, so I'm gonna be using this upper piece, and then I'm gonna be using this beautiful dress for my centerpiece on my cover, as well as this little sentiment. So let me put this aside and let's start working with this page. So we're gonna cut these into 8 3/4. So let's think about this. So we're gonna do this corner here, so we want to do 8 3/4. Okay, and there's no need to break the little window here. So and then I'm gonna cut this by 6 3/4. Okay, so let's do it this way. I'm just gonna go up until this kind of meets. There we go. So now we can still use this beautiful window here. So now I have this piece, and this should fit perfect in here, and it does. Oh my goodness, I love it already. Okay, so now I'm going to use my die and cut these 4 little pieces. Here I have my 4 pieces. So I cut 2 of the long one here. This one measures 7 inches, and then I got 2 of the one that measures 5 inches on the longer side. So my frame is going to be a 5 by 7, and these are actually all different. This one measures 7, this one is a 6 and a 4. So you can make different types of frames, and you can even make square frames. So it's actually pretty fun to play with that. So now, since I know my card is gonna be 5 by 7, I'm gonna use this little dress, but I'm actually going to fuzzy cut it out, and I'm gonna use this kind of more of a plain background to add my frame, So then I'm going to cut a little piece here of 5 by 7. So I'm gonna start with 7, and I'm just gonna cut this whole thing. And then I'm gonna cut this here at 5. So this is going to be the base for my card. I'm gonna fuzzy cut around this dress, and then I'm going to add my frame pieces here. And if you don't have this die, oh my god, and isn't it just gorgeous? It's so beautiful. But you can also just cut a little white border to go around your frame here. Okay, so I'm just going to glue these 4 pieces like so. Okay, so I'm gonna place the first one here, just like that. Make sure it's nice and aligned to the outside frame here, and whatever you have extra, you can always go back and fix it or trim it around. I think I just have a little bit here that it's not quite even, so I'm just gonna trim it out just like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're obviously going to layer and cover it probably a little bit. So now I'm gonna fussy cut around this beautiful dress. You know what, before I cut this out, I'm actually gonna back this on just some heavy weight. That way once we cut it, it's nice and sturdy, and we only need to cut it one time. So I'm just going to glue this on the heavyweight cardstock. Just like so. Okay, and now I'm going to cut around this. So here's my beautiful dress. Oh my goodness, I just love it. So I'm gonna layer this on top of the card that we did, and I'm going to layer this card on chipboard. Now I always save my chipboard because they're great to add dimension to your projects. So you want to make sure that your chipboard for the back here is smaller than the base of your card, so it's not sticking out. Now if you don't have chipboard, you can always use those the dots, the foam dots, but I don't use those. I rarely ever buy them because I have so much chipboard to use, so I just try to save a little money there. Also, why I like the chipboard is because it's one solid piece, so your card will be super stable. If you were using the foam dots, there's a lot of air spaces, so this can kind of get pushed down. Now for the dress, I'm going to add this just right on top here, and I'm gonna use another piece of leftover chipboard. I'm just gonna cut these in smaller little pieces, kind of like little squares or rectangles, just like so. And I'm gonna add those all on the back on different places, just as much as you can fit. Again, you want to make sure that you have not a lot of void spaces. So I put all my little chipboard pieces, and oh my goodness, so now I'm going to add my glue in each little piece of chipboard again, just like this. Okay, and now I am ready to place this right on the center of my beautiful frame, and I just love the dimension that gives. It gives it a lot of interest. I don't know if we can see that on camera. So now I'm going to layer this right on top here. Before I do that, I want this album to look very shabby, so I'm going to just use my scissors and just kind of distress around the edge. So now I am ready to place this chipboard piece on the back. So I do want to make sure I put enough glue in here because it is the cover after all. So you want to make sure it's nice and strong. So I'm just going to place it on the center, just like so, around this little sentiment that said "She Believe," and I'm gonna place this one along this side over here on the top. So I distress this little edge, and I'm gonna be using more of my chipboard to give it a little dimension. Now the side that's gonna go over here, I'm gonna add 2 layers of chipboard. And then on this side over here, I'm just gonna add 1 layer because that is going to go on top of the card. So here is 1, and I'm just gonna place this one right on top here, and then I'll place 1 over here, this one on the center, and 1 more. Okay, so I have the little chipboard pieces put in there, and now I'm just going to glue this whole thing up in here. And I think I want to make sure this is lined up, and here we go. I think it's looking really cute. I really like how this is coming out. So now I'm gonna use the little flowers. Now this is the HO063, and again you will find these flowers at JS Hobbies and Crafts, and I have all the supply list and the link to the store on the description box. So these are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to cut these ones up just so they are all apart. And same thing with this one. I'm just gonna cut them out of the stem, and now I can layer these and play around with this little flower. So I think I like the flowers this way, just a little cluster of flowers over here and just a little more on the top up there to balance it out. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue to add my flowers, just like that. Okay, so and then, oh my goodness, I just really like how this is coming around, and I didn't want to cover these flowers. I think these flowers are enough, and also I just love how those ones look there. So I'm gonna be using this gorgeous trim here. This is the beaded trim, and I'm going to place it right along the side here. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue. Just the line should be enough, and I'm actually going to leave a little space here on the top and a space on the bottom. Make sure it's nice and aligned to the edge, just like that. And then I'm going to turn this around and bend the little ribbon part, just like that. Oops, I might have to hold this here until it dries for a second, and then I will do the same on the other side. So we're done with the little cover. So I really like how this came out. I hope you guys like it. So I'm going to add this one right straight to the cover like so, but for now I'm gonna just keep it on the side because I wanna work on the inside covers before we add anything to it. So I'm going to create another layout for this page. So I'm gonna again use my heavyweight cardstock, and I don't know if you notice my cardstock, it's slightly a different color because my beautiful Tessie decided to use all my cardstock, and I just have to do with what I have. So yes, I have crafty girls, and sometimes they just touch all my things. Okay, so I'm gonna start with an 8.5 by 11 piece, and I'm gonna cut this at 6 inches. And what I want to do is create a little bit of a escalating waterfall, and then I'm gonna cut a second piece at 6 inches again. Okay, and this time I'm gonna cut this by 7.5, and then I'm going to use another piece, cut this at 6 inches once again, and then I'm going to do by 6.5. Okay, so we have 3 pieces, and I'm gonna grab my scoreboard and I'm gonna score the first piece along the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna do the same for all of them. Make sure you have it at the 6-inch side. So we do 1/2 inch, and then I have one more 1/2 inch. So now I'm gonna fold along the score lines, just like so, and just like so. I'm gonna pick my design paper, and I'm gonna cut a piece for the inside cover. So this piece is going to measure 7 3/4 by 8 3/4, and I really want to use this chandelier background, so I'm gonna cut these at 7 3/4. I want to make sure that this little edge here is on the top, so I'm just gonna trim it here first. Let's see if I can do that straight, like that. And then I'm going to bend this and cut these at 8 3/4. Actually, never mind, this was supposed to be 6 3/4, not 7 3/4. Okay, here we go. So now you're gonna get a piece like this, and I'm gonna glue this back here first. Okay, so you want to put the edge and just a little bit throughout the center, and I'm gonna place this right up here. I'm gonna add glue on my little flap here, and I'm gonna place the first piece of my waterfall right against the paper, right on top of it, just like so. And you can also use tape if you like for this step. I'm just gonna do it with glue. And now I'm gonna open this up, and I'm gonna place the second large size, this one, and I'm gonna put it right next to it. And I plan on covering this white piece with some of the design paper as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this one right next to it along the bottom. Okay, maybe a little bit lower, just like so. And we're gonna press this down. Okay, now we are gonna open this one as well, and let's place the next one, just like that. So it's just a different way to create a waterfall, and I like it because number one is dynamic, so there are different sizes, so it's always fun. And two, because you can fit different size pictures, larger pictures than your typical waterfall. And yeah, you only fit 3, but then you can put a larger image here and there. So I think it looks really cool. So over here, we're gonna cover that with some of our design paper and this part as well. But let's go ahead and work on the other, on the back cover. So for the back cover, I'm going to try to utilize the scrap pieces that we just had when we cut these pieces at 6, and some other scraps that I have. So these pieces measure, let me double check, and yours should measure the same. So this measures 5 inches. And then I'm gonna grab a new sheet, and this new sheet I'm going to cut at 9 1/2. Actually, I'll take that back. 9 1/4 by 5. Okay, and I'm going to create another waterfall, but this waterfall I wanted it to completely flip up. So let me go ahead and score this piece at 1/2 inch. Okay, along the 9 1/4, we're gonna score at 1/2 inch, just like this. And now we're gonna grab our scraps, and let me see how many I have. I have 1, 2, and 3. So the first one I'm gonna leave at 8 1/2. I'm gonna trim the second one at 7 1/2. And the third one we're gonna cut at 6 1/2. And then I'm gonna score 1/2 inch along the 6 1/2 inch side and the 7 1/2 inch side and the 8 1/2 side. Okay, so now I have these 3 pieces, and I'm gonna grab the first one that we did here, and we're gonna start with the larger one, kind of like we did on the front cover. It's just a slightly different version of a waterfall. Okay, so I'm gonna place my glue or tape and just put it on top of the first one that we did, and make sure that your flap is on the top as well. And then we're gonna build the next size up or down and I'm gonna place it right along the top as well, just like this. And then we have the small one, just like this. So we have a different type of waterfall, and they all go on top here. So when we flip our pages, you can accommodate different size pictures, larger size pictures, or you can even put 2 small size pictures. Okay, so now that I have this little waterfall ready, I'm going to go ahead and place it right on the top here. Again, I'm going to use my glue and make sure that is centered the best you can. And let's make sure that is also straight, so you kind of notice it on the bottom here. Make sure it looks straight, and here we go. Then I'm going to grab 2 more pieces, and I'm going to cut these at 9 3/4. No, I'm sorry, 8 3/4. 8 3/4 by 7 1/2. Okay, so I'm gonna need 1 of those and 8 3/4 and 7 1/2. All right, so for these, I'm just gonna grab my scoreboard once again. Take these out, and I'm gonna score at 1/2 inch and at 1/4 inch for both of these. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 1/2 and 1/4, so you get 2 lines like so, and we're gonna do the same for this other one. 1/2 inch and 1/4. Okay, so these 2 pieces we're gonna fold along the score line, and then I'm gonna add my tape. You can also do glue if you like, just on these 1/2 inch flaps for 1 and for 2. And I'm just creating like a little, it's not really a gatefold because these are both large pieces, but I will be putting 1 on the left side and 1 on the right side. So let me go ahead and remove the tape. As you know, I always do a little bit of the tape first. Make sure that it's straight and aligned, just like so. And then we remove the tape, press down first, and then we're gonna stand it up to the gusset that we added. So make sure the gusset is standing up like so. And then I'm going to do the same here on the other side. Okay, so now make sure that you are aligned with the page on the other side that we just did. And I think this is the best that I can do. And let me take that out. And here we go. And now we can stand it up. So when you stand it up, they should close one on top of each other. And you can do either way. So I think I'm gonna do this side. Now I think it's a good idea to add that pretty design here for the border. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch this side. So doesn't that look so pretty? So I'm going to go back to my page, my pages here, and I'm gonna be adding some of that pretty border on some of the pages. Now not this one because this is my gatefold, but I was thinking maybe on this edge, and then also on this other edge right there. So I went ahead and did the little pretty borders. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about our closures for our pages. So I would like to minimize the use of magnets for this album. Of course, I think I will definitely use some, but I want to do more different ways to make the closure. I'm thinking for this first page here, I'm actually gonna switch it. Instead of using the pocket for my first page, I'm gonna be using the opposite side because I really like how this border looks and how it opens to the top. Now, since this page over here is kind of, you can see it's kind of flapping on top, if you add an embellishment that is heavy enough, and by that you could probably, I mean like something more like a metal embellishment piece, something cute like that, it will put weight on this flap so it won't look like this. And you probably don't even need a magnet for this page. Now this page is just a pocket, and again this opens to the top, but this pocket will be heavy enough to keep everything down. So for this page, I'm just going to go ahead, cover everything with paper. Don't worry about magnet closures. Now this page, on the other hand, it is different because this is a gatefold, and you do want to make sure that it's gonna fall, it's gonna stay nice and tight. There's a couple options that we have. We can add some ribbon, so we will put the ribbon here on the side before we add our design paper, or we can add magnets. Now if I'm gonna do magnets, I will use one of the images from the collection. So an image like this, for example, that I will cut around and use this piece here on the top. Okay, so to do that, I will add magnets to one of the sides here, which means that this side over here will need magnets. So I will write down here that this will need magnets. So this you can definitely cover. You can cover the back and you can cover everything, but if you write down, then you remember not to cover this page, and then we'll create the closure for that. Now same thing here. Now this page is a little bit heavy because it has, you know, like a little accordion up and accordion down. So for these, I'm definitely going to be adding a closure. Now you can add a couple magnets here to keep this down, and then you can add a couple magnets here to keep this flap down as well. So I will write down M here for magnet and magnet, and then I will open these up and write down M here for magnet and M here for magnet. Everything else you can go ahead and cover as well. So now this page actually goes like this. Now for this one, because this is a page that is going to go on this direction and it has the flap to the right, this is not going to open when you flip the page over, so we do not need a magnet for any of the components on this page as well. So you can go ahead and cover everything up with paper. Now the next page, you have two options. You can always keep this left flap on the top, and every time you flip the page you won't need a magnet. Or if you want it this way, you know, if you like the look on this side better, then you will need a magnet, because every time you flip your page, this is gonna go sideways. So just a little tip. And if regardless you don't like this to be so loose, you can go ahead and add a magnet here as well. But I think that for this page is gonna be really cute to add like a little bow closure. So I am going to write in my notes B for bow, I don't know, bow, maybe ribbon, maybe R. So I'll remember not to cover these two, or at least I'll remember to add a ribbon on that, and then we can definitely cover everything else. So we can go ahead and cover the papers, and then I'll come back next time so we can do the pieces that we mark together for our closure. And so yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I'm trying to keep my videos around half an hour, otherwise it takes a really long time to upload. So I'm sorry, this is going to be a 4-part tutorial. So remember, you don't want to add your cover just yet. Let's add the pages first, so I'm just gonna leave that on the side for inspiration. So we will continue next time. I hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. Please don't forget to visit JS Hobbies and Crafts to get everything that you need to make this mini album, and I want to thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.